Okay, we got a big one today. This is a grail item for me, so I'm excited. I've actually had to wait almost a week to open this to record this video, which sucks because I've been wanting to open it, but I've literally had zero time. I'm going to probably do a little video maybe about what has been eating up my time here, maybe in a few weeks. That way I can let the cat out of the bag. Nothing crazy about props or anything like that. Just kind of give you guys an update on what's going on in my life and why I have zero time. Just to put it out there and make an excuse for myself, I guess, why I can't do this stuff all the time. Yeah, let's get into this box. I'm super excited. I'm finally carved out some time, so I want to get into it right now. Oh, look at the size of that. Oh my god. Holy cow. Oh. Oh man. Oh man, this is so cool. Oh, sweet, that's all the metal. I think it's all the metal. It might be more metal, I guess. Other half. Whoa! Whoa! Oh my gosh. God, look at the size of this thing. It's filled with foam. Excuse me while I de-poop my X-Wing. Oh, there's more parts in there. Maybe not shake that so much. Oh, jeez, okay. I think this is everything. Alright guys, so this is the ultimate Pyro X-Wing. And what I mean by ultimate is this kit was put together by Frank Cerny, but he acquired the molds from Dave Jones. And if you don't know who Dave Jones is, well, you should if you're a Star Wars nerd. He was one of the original ILMers that worked on Star Wars. He managed to, I guess, cobble together a real fuselage off of a Pyro, or at least a casting that came out of the original molds, and all the other parts, you know, wings and all the other greeblies and whatnot. I was able to put together and cast a full X-Wing from new molds that he created. So there's the provenance of it was, you know, Dave Jones created these molds and cast parts, which this is not one that Dave Jones cast. It came from his molds. Dave Jones unfortunately passed away, and so there are some copies out there that are actually cast by Dave Jones. One was up on Prop Store recently. Frank Cerny actually acquired, I think 10 of them, I think is what the number was that he had actually cast. You know, Dave Jones had actually cast. He sold those, and along with some that he poured himself. And what is different about this than all the other ones that have come out in the past is the way it's cast, specifically how it's split, which is down the middle versus all the other X-Wings you've probably ever seen if you were looking into any sort of model kit, big or little, a studio scale or not. They're always split on this line right here, all the way down. I don't know why they did it that way. It is not how the Pyros were made. So that is something that makes this unique. At least I should say, let me preface that with saying I've never seen one. I know, Cat. I've never seen one that was split down the middle like this before. And we know that they were done that way because there are reference photos. There's one specifically well-known photo. I want to call it famous, but maybe if you're a Star Wars nerd, you know, deep into the meta of production images and stuff like that. But there's a famous photo of the X-Wing taken in period, where you can see that it's split in half down the middle. All the pieces are laid out, and there's a pair of sunglasses. I'll throw it up here on the screen for you. That's a well-known photo, and I thought about like building a display and displaying those parts like that, just because of what this is. There's supposedly only 10 of these that Frank cast, and then there's more than 10 that Dave Jones cast, but 10 that Frank sold. It's a little complicated, I know, but I know that there's at least 11 out there because Prop Store had one. So I think there's a couple more, one or two, you know. So anyways, this is like the ultimate, you know. I don't feel like any other version that's been released prior to this really touches this as far as provenance goes, unless you have a casting, you know, made back from in the day. You know, basically it's basically a real prop almost at that point. Anyways, that's my little book report on the Pyro X-Wings. I'm super ecstatic about this. I've been wanting a studio scale X-Wing for forever. I've passed on so many of them. I've seen Captain Cardboard kits come and go. I've seen multiple of the Salzo kits, which look great. I really was mad when I was kind of broke at the time when the V5 came out. I was so pissed. I was like, dang, I don't have the money to buy that right now. I can't do that. And I love the ships. I love the model kits as much as, you know, the handheld props, you know, the lightsabers and blasters and stuff. But you know, I've done. I think I have 3 X-Wings built right now upstairs in my office, but they're just model kits. 2 of them are NPC model kits, which are I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. They're a pain. But they were used in Empire and Return of the Jedi, so I got love for them. So they have provenance of their own, but just not necessarily so direct, you know. This is super cool. I'm really happy, you know. Granted, this was more than any other X-Wing kit that I've seen prior, but justifiably so because of the provenance. You know, like, it came from an ILMer's molds. You can't top that. You know, the only way you're topping that is if you got one, maybe, if I were to get my hands on one that was actually made by Dave Jones instead of cast by Frank, that would be the only way I could top this one, I think. Or maybe, you know, one cast in period, you know. And I did actually pass on one of those a long time ago. I saw a couple parts go by. It was like a fuselage and a couple other random bits that were supposedly cast from an original mold, but it was warped and in rough shape, and I was just like, it's incomplete and it's all wonky, and I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. So I wound up passing on it. I kind of kick myself now because I saw an auction for those parts later go for a lot of money. Oh well. Yeah, so this is absolutely a grail piece. I mean, as much as, you know, I love the Obi-Wan sabers and getting my bounce pipe, you know, which I still have right here. I've not been able to get that on my lightsaber because the adapter I got is just a hair too big, and have no time to deal with it. I have to shave it down just a little bit. Anyways, this is a big deal to me. This thing is so big. I mean, and you're getting it as it was, essentially, you know, from production. You know, like, it's got all the, like, little wonkiness and imperfections, you know, kind of like the way the Stormtrooper armor has, and just, gosh, look at the size of this thing. I mean, you know, it's like 2 feet long. It's just gigantic. And there's some extra parts in there. There's he did include a canopy that can be, you can cut out the windows. You then have to modify, you know, and cut this down, you know, to make this, you know, part removable, essentially, because, you know, it would live in the same spot. You know, it essentially goes right there. But obviously, I don't know if I want to cut it or not. That kind of scares me a little bit, to be perfectly honest. There's also another nose cone in there, which is super nice to have, because the, you know, original props, the original filming miniatures actually have a armature inside of them, and so I could put in armature, you know, inside of this, and they would oftentimes remove the nose to mount the armature from the nose, and that way, if they're filming from the back, it's mounted, you know, in a way that the armature isn't really seen, at least not seen attached to the ship itself. They usually had a side mount here, and then a back mount. They'd pull the back plate off and mount it on the back as well. So, speaking of back plate, just for funsies. Oh man. Get rid of that little bit of flashing there. This is so cool. I don't know how I'm going to display this or when I'm going to get time to work on it, but does it go like this? Yeah, here we go. Oh man. I have to clean that up a little bit. It won't quite go in there. There's a little bit of flashing, but oh, that's so cool. God, the scale of it is like, you know, what gets me the most is the scale. It's I've worked on these little models, you know, multiple times. I feel like I've done a decent job with them. But the difficulty I find with the little models is when you're doing all the weather, like, you have to almost, like, I don't know, you have to dial it, like, way back, because if you go as heavy-handed as they did on the big filming miniatures, it looks like really cartoonish and weird. I've seen and done, you know, this, you know, myself, you know, where it just, you wind up having to either try to undo it, try to wipe it off, or you have to, like, go back over it and, you know, like, do a mist coat over the top to kind of dial things back just a touch. And this is a much larger scale, so the detail you can get out of it is pretty amazing, and it's, I feel like, I don't want to say it's easier to do well, but it's because it's so big, it's like you're not working so small, and it's easier to do. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I don't know. I don't know if you noticed the shirt. Got an X-Wing shirt on. Oh my gosh. Look at these wings. And he actually, I think, if I remember seeing a photo he shared with us. Yeah, there's a metal piece of brass that's running through here that's inside of the resin, and so it should keep the wings from warping as much. Hopefully, completely keep them from warping. But God, look at these things are so big. It's gonna go on something like that. Man, I'll have to get like a little whatchamacallit, a piece of metal for mounting the wing. Oh, I didn't even look at the other side. Look at the engine detail. All the underwing detail. You know, when I was building my first X-Wing, which was the very first thing I did and posted on the RPF, I had the hardest time finding reference photos. And when I did find reference photos of the wings open, because I wanted to display mine with the wings open, which is kind of a mistake, I found some kind of sketchy looking images of this stuff. They're kind of low resolution, and so I went and built all that detail into into the NPC X-Wing, and like it came out great. But I then realized later that all the NPC X-Wings had their wings closed. They were not, as far as I've seen, I haven't seen a reference photo that shows one with the wings open, and that's because there's zero detail there, and the detail that's here on the engine is awful. Like, it's so soft and weird looking. There's a weird pipe thing that isn't represented on here at all, and I had to do a bunch of stuff to like fix that because I hated the way it looked. Oh man, pulling all this flashing out here. Gosh, look at this. Just look at the texture on this. And here's the top of the engine. It's going to go on here like that. Man, that's so cool. Oh yeah, it's not just the top of the canopy. Oh, and here's the droid strip. It's so cool. We got to do it. We got to put it on there just for a second. That's a little rough there. The droid strip slots into there. I got to clean it up. It's not going to fit as is because there's a little bit of overcast, flashing there. Here's the bottom of the cockpit. The cockpit piece. And the top of the canopy. So I could build one that has this in it, and then this, of course, is going to go over the top, but the windows would be cut out and you would see. You don't put glass in the filming miniatures because they didn't want the glares, messing with the cameras. This bag is for the guns that go on the end of the wing. There's all this blues, the brass that looks like taped up, and then the little tubes essentially, and then there's a lot of griddlies in here, heat sinks and whatnot that go in. And then this bag is the back half of the engine. Oop. Slide that off. Yeah. It looks like this has got a keyed area for it to fit together properly. Honestly, the hardest parts for me are going to be time to build this and where am I going to display it? I'm kind of out of room. So I gotta do some work on the display stuff, just in general, because I am like at capacity on what I can have in my office right now. I got ideas, but that'll probably be a totally different video when I redo my office and put in a lot more shelving for displaying my props, like that mask I did from the mask. I just kind of have that stuck on top of something else, and it's not great where it sits. So I'm kind of at a breaking point on display space. So and my display isn't good. It's not worth bragging about to begin with. So I don't even want to show it. It's kind of embarrassing a little bit. So all right, I also want to give a shout out to Frank Cerny, just because without him getting his hands on the molds, this would not be possible. This is super cool. I'm super excited. So thank you, Frank. Well done. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope if you got one of these, put a comment down below. Say, hey, I got one of these too. It's awesome, Let me know. I've seen I don't know if I've seen anybody build theirs yet, but I've seen a bunch of people say they received theirs. And I can't wait to see some of these built, including my own, if I ever get around to it. Hopefully it doesn't just sit in a box like all the other stuff I got. And again, I plan to do a video kind of detailing a little bit of what I've been doing for this past year or so. That's kind of keeping me so busy. Hopefully, I don't want to say it's going to be over, but it's going to be changing. So there's a chance I might get free time. We'll see. Yeah. I'll talk to you guys in the next video, or I'll talk at you guys at the next video. You can't talk back. Just kidding. You can comment if you want. All right. Later.